Ned Cobb, Nate Shaw, All God's Dangerous, 1969. A heap of families while I was living on a Tucker place down on City Marcus was leaving going north. Some of my neighbors even picked up and left. I knowed I was in a bad way of life here, but I didn't intend to get out. That never come in my mind. I thought somehow, some way I'd overcome it. I was a farming man at the time, and I knowed more about this country than I knowed about the northern states. I've always been man enough to stick up for my family and love them and try to support them. And I just thought definitely I could keep it up. In other words, I was determined to try. And during of the pressure years, a union began to operate in this country, called it the Sharecroppers Union. That was a nice name, I thought. And my first knowing about this union, this organization, that riot come off at Cranes Fort in 31. I looked deep in that thing too. I heard more than I see, and I taken that in consideration. And I know what was going on was a turnabout on a southern man, white and colored. It was something unusual, and I heard about it being an organization for the poor class of people. That's just what I wanted to get into too. I wanted to know the secrets of it, enough that I could become in the knowledge of it. Now I heard talk about trucks coming into this country delivering guns to the colored people, but I decided all that was talk, trying to accuse the niggers of getting into something here that maybe they weren't and maybe they were. But didn't no trucks haul no guns to nobody. Colored people hadn't been armed up for nothing. It was told like that just to agitate the thing further. Of course, some of these colored folks in here had some good guns. You know, a Winchester rifle. It's a pretty good gun itself, but they didn't have nothing above that. It weren't nothing that nobody sent in here for them to use. Just their own stuff. Well, they killed a man up there, colored fellow. His name was Adam Cole, and they tell me I didn't see it, but I heard lots about it, and I never did hear nothing about it that backed me up. Kurt Bill, the high sheriff for Tukabashi country, got shot in the stomach. He went up there to break this meeting business amongst the colored people, and someone in the crowd shoot him. That kind of broke him up from running in places like that. And these white folks woke up and stretched themselves and commenced running around meddling with niggers about this organization and its close thing today. One old man, and he was as big as a skunk as ever sneaked in the woods. Old man Max Sloan come up to me one day. He didn't come to my home. He met me on the outside. Old man Max Sloan come to me hot as a stove iron. Nate, do you belong to that mess they carrying on in this country? I just cut him off short. I didn't belong to it at that time, but I was eager to join, and I was aiming to join, just hadn't got the right opportunity. No, I don't belong to nothing, Max Sloan, white man said. You stay out of it. That damn thing will get you killed. You stay out of it. These niggers running around here carrying on some kind of meat, and you better stay out of it. I said to myself, you a fool if you think you can keep me from joining. I went right on and joined it, just as quick as the next meeting come. Running around and giving me orders. He suspected I might be the kind of man to belong to such an organization. Put the finger on me before I ever joined, and he done just the thing to push me into it. Give me orders not to join. The teachers of this organization began to drive through this country. They couldn't let what they was doing be known. One of them was a colored fellow. I disremember his name, but he did not tell us his name. He wanted us to organize, and he was with us a whole lot of time, holding meetings with us. That was part of his job. We colored farmers with me, and the first thing we had to do was join the organization, and it was said we didn't want no bad men in it at all. No weak-hearted fellows that would be liable to give the thing away. It was secret with them. All that joined it, they know to keep their mouth shut and meet the meetings. And this teacher said, don't know where his home was. He had a different way of talking than we did. I call them stool pigeons if they broadcast the news about what's happening. And said if a nigger like myself went and let any secrets to the white folks about the organization. The word was do away with him. Had the meetings at our house or anywhere we could have them, where we should keep a look and watch out that nobody was coming in on us. Small meetings, sometimes there'd be a dozen, sometimes there'd be more, sometimes there'd be less. Niggers were scared. Niggers were scared. That's telling the truth. White folks and less niggers was White folks in this country didn't allow niggas to have no organization, no secret meetings. They kept up with you and watched you. Didn't allow you to associate in the crowd. Unless it was your family or your church. It just worked in a way that the nigger wasn't allowed to have nothing but church services. And they like to see you going to church too. Sometimes white people will come into the Negro church and sit there and listen at the meeting. Of course, it weren't nothing but a church service going on, but if a nigger walked into a white church, he'd just be driven up if they didn't kill him. But if a Negro was a servant for white people, then they'd carry him to church with them, accept him to come in and take a seat on the back seat and listen at the white people. But if you was an independent Negro, you better stay away from there. But if you was a white man's dear flunky doing what he said do, or even on the women's side, if they was maids for the white people, they take them out to their home church, dump them in a way. They take them out to their home churches, dump them in a way. They know they weren't going to cause no trouble, and if they did, they just been knocked out of the box and called in closed question. But they never did act disorderly, just sit there and listen at the white folks meeting quiet as a lamb. And when the white folks would come in the colored churches, good God, the niggers would get busy giving them first class seats. If there was any in that building, the white folks got them. They was white people, they classed themselves over the color, and the colored people never did do nothing but dance to what the white people said and thought. White people was their bosses and their controllers, and the colored people went along with it. White men, white women, I've been there, go in colored churches and be seated. Nigger ain't got nothing to do but run around there and give them the nicest seats. First, the organization wanted for the colored people was the privilege to have an organization. That's one of the best things they ever could fight for and get on foot. For my boys' days coming along, ever since I've been in God's world, I've never had no rights, no voice, and nothing that the white man didn't want me to have. Even been cut out of education, book learning, been deprived of that. How could I favor such rulings as have been the past? I never tried to beat nobody out of nothing since I've been in this world. Never has. But I understand that there's a whole class of people tries to beat the other class of people out of what they has. I've had it put on me. I've seen it put on others with these eyes. Oh, it's plain. If every man thoroughly got his rights, there wouldn't be so many rich people in the world. I spotted that a long time ago, and I've looked deep in that angle. How can one man get out there and labor for his own way of life and get to be a rich man? Where is his earnings coming from that he's palming off and sticking it behind? It come out of the poor little farmers and other laboring men. Oh, it is desperately wrong. There's many a man today ain't able to support his family. There's many a man ain't able to wear the clothes that he should wear and accumulate nothing that he should have and accomplish nothing that he should do. And who is the backbone of the world? It's the laboring man. It's the laboring man. My God, the big man been on him with both foots all these years and now don't want to get off him. I found out all of that because they tried to take I don't know what all away from me. I've gotten along in this world by studying the races and knowing that I was one of the underdogs. I was under many rulings just like the other Negro that I know was injurious to men and displeasing to God, and still I had to fall back. I got tired of it, but no help did I know. Weren't nobody to back me up. I've taken every kind of insult and went on. In my years past, I accommodate anybody, but I didn't believe in this way of bowing to my knees and doing what any white man said do. Still, I always know to give the white man his time of day, or else he's ready to knock me in the head. I just ain't going to go nobody's way against my own self. First thing of all, I care for myself and respect myself. I come into the world with this against me, that if a man comes to take away what I have and he don't have a fair claim against me, I'll die before I stand quiet as a fence post and let him do it. If I die trying to defend myself, why let me go? I'm going to try definitely. The end. Questions. Heap. Large amount. Who was involved in a sharecroppers union? Does Ned have a favorable or unfavorable opinion of Mac's loan? How do you know? How does Ned feel about the ACU? How does Max Sloan feel about the ACU? What caused Ned to join the ACU? Why didn't the ACU want weak-hearted fellows? When was it okay for blacks to be in a white church? When was it not okay for blacks to be in a white church? How would some blacks treat whites when they came to a black church? What is one thing the ACU wanted? What does Ned believe is desperately wrong? Summarize Ned's point in paragraphs 13 and 14.